Welcome back to this next episode on the Home Stretch podcast. I am so excited to talk all about the little spiritual side of buying your first house and the kind of energy that houses give you. And it might sound a little bit woo-woo to some people if you're not into energy, spirituality, or even if you've never thought about it before, this episode might not be for you. But if you do like that sort of stuff, then you're going to want to keep watching and listening, because I'm going to deep dive into everything that I learned through the house buying process when it comes to energy, manifesting the dream house, and knowing when to spot the red flags, knowing that the house isn't for you. So this isn't a typical kind of personal story, educational type of video. It's more of like energy and finding your perfect house and knowing that it's for you. We're deep diving into intuition, how houses make you feel, and going by what your soul is choosing for you, because your future self knows what house you're going to be chilling and watching TV in. Like, it just knows. So it tells you signs and you pick up on them later down the line, but I'm going to help you tap into your energy and your senses and your intuition in this episode. So first, I wanted to dive a little bit into my personal story with this, because this house we're in right now wasn't our first choice. So we were viewing houses for maybe 2 months or so, and I was getting a little bit frustrated in the house buying process because we just couldn't seem to find our house. Anyways, this house came up on the market. It was a little bit over budget. You know, we were really kind of stretching ourselves if we were going to go for this house. And we met the owner twice. We put in an offer that got rejected and tried to negotiate higher up. We did go quite considerably below the asking price because basically Nathan had a LISA, and with a LISA, I mean, it might change in the future, but with a LISA, a lifetime ISA, you can't use it on houses that are above £450,000, and this house was. So that was kind of our argument into why we went lower. And looking back at it now, it definitely wasn't the right house for us. So the owner himself was just a little bit odd. He was a bit up himself, and we just didn't get a good homely vibe from him. And it kind of just seemed like he wanted to get as much money as he could. He didn't really care who the house was going to. It was basically like the highest bidder. And we viewed the house a few times. I loved it, and I was like, this is a house, I can imagine us being here. And I feel like that was maybe my need to find our house, that was what was coming up a little bit. So in a way, it probably felt a bit needy, and he probably picked up on that energy, the owner. Anyways, we viewed the house, and it was more or less around summer. We were viewing houses in like June, and the house was cold. Like, the house felt cold. And even Nathan said to me afterwards, you know, did you not think that the house felt quite chilly? Like, we're in the middle of summer right now, basically. It's gonna be quite hard to keep it warm in the winter times. And I was like, yeah, but it's close to the gym, and it's so nice. We could do so much with the garden. It's a south facing garden. Like, I was really trying to sell it to him, and he was being very realistic in the fact of like, there's all these things that aren't great with it. And the house was a bit older, but it was fully detached. It was really nice. It needed a lot of work. The kitchen needed a lot of work, and the bathrooms were very old. It would be a little bit of a renovation project as well, when we didn't want that. Like, we wanted a house that was fairly okay and livable. So I was kind of telling myself, you know, I think this is ours, but deep down I knew that it wasn't, and I knew that there was some kind of energy or something just saying, this isn't it, chill out, the right house will come around. Now, when we were viewing other houses and stuff, there wasn't really a lot on the market, so I think that's why I was more inclined to be like, this is our house, you know, like, let's try, like, hopefully we can negotiate the offer and meet in the middle somewhere. But the owner was he put his foot down and was like, no, I'm not taking anything lower than this. And we were like, well, we can't go any higher than this, so I guess we're at a stalemate. And then he ended up selling it to someone for the asking price. Fair play. But we were first time buyers. It was like, we were trying to sell it to him that we were first time buyers. Didn't really work out. Anyways, that obviously wasn't meant to be. And there was a few things, obviously, how he was and his energy in general. The house just not feeling homely, and the idea and the knowing that there's going to be a lot of work on the house, it was putting us off a little bit, putting Nathan off. It wasn't putting me off. But these little things did add up to the fact that obviously it wasn't our house. This is our house. And we viewed this house maybe a 1 week. Actually, it might have been less than that. It might have been maybe 4 or 5 days after we found out that the house had obviously sold to someone else. And I kind of felt a bit down about it. And then this house came up. We viewed it the same week. We put an offer in at the weekend and then it got accepted on the Monday. So within a week, we got our house, basically. In my mind, we got our house. But there was such a long process after that technically we hadn't had the house just yet. We had like another 6.5 months worth of delays. And when it came to this house, when we viewed it with the estate agent, oh my God, it felt so calm, peaceful. It felt homely. It felt looked after. It felt, you can kind of feel the energy, weirdly, of the owners that had lived in it before, and the vibe, and I just feel like you can feel it. And I've spoke to a few estate agents as well, and they were like, you know, when people have passed away in a house, it feels different and the energy is just a bit different. And, you know, even we think this house has like loads of nice energy. I mean, estate agents will say anything for a sale, but in this circumstance, they were right, like, because we felt it before we even viewed it. We looked at a photo and we were like, oh my gosh, like, I think that's the house. And it was one of those houses where we saw it online and we were like, that's going to be gone within a week. So we better make sure that we get this house because it's going to be gone and there's not going to be a lot on the market. And do you know what? Within those 6.5 months that we were waiting and there was delays and everything like that, we did keep an eye on Rightmove just to see what houses were out there, out of curiosity, just being a little bit nosy, and always, I guess, keeping your wits about you because you never know what could happen. The sale could fall through and whatnot. So we were always just looking anyways. And when we were looking, we didn't actually find anything that was like similar price in the area that we wanted and had things in the house like an ensuite, a nice enough garden. There was nothing else like that on the market for the whole 6.5 months. So I'm just saying, I'm very glad we found this house and we secured it. But, you know, the market was really dry, and I don't know what it was at like the later part of 2024, but like there just wasn't that many houses out there, especially in this area anyways, in Cambridgeshire, but like there just wasn't. And we just kind of thought we're so lucky to have had this house, and the sellers were so communicative and so kind and lovely. They were an elderly couple, and we still talk to them to this day, and they still pop round for a coffee or a cup of tea every now and again, like seeing their friends and their neighbours and stuff. So I feel like it's nice that we have that relationship with them. And gosh, I was saying to Nathan, you know, if we went through this situation with all the delays with that seller from the other property, it would have been an absolute nightmare. And, you know, everything is a blessing in disguise. And I just think we were meant to have this house so much. So yeah, feeling very blessed, feeling very grateful. And I just think, you know, if you're going through issues or delays and stuff right now, there's a reason for it. Or if you're viewing houses and stuff and you feel like there's a reason why you're not getting the house, or the house falls through, or they go with another buyer, there's a reason for it, and that house is not meant for you. And then looking back, you can probably see the red flags and the signs as to why that was, you know? Anyways, today's episode is for anyone walking into properties and thinking, I don't know what it is, but this isn't it. So today we're going to be blending mindset and actionable tips to help you fully know if the house you're viewing is the house for you, or if you're going through delays right now, if the house should still be yours or not. You will just kind of know and get the vibe. So firstly, energy in a home is real, and I don't care what anyone says, you can always feel energy in a house. And even saying that, just imagine when you go into a restaurant or you're at a restaurant and there's a couple and they're noticeably arguing or have argued or whatnot. You can tell, you can pick up on the vibes without even listening to their conversation. You can generally feel their energy, and that energy of like sadness or anger or just like conflict. And that is the same when it comes to houses. You know, you can feel the warmth or the love or the energy in a house compared to like negative and bad energy and bad vibes. So when you come to view houses and you're choosing the one that you're going to be spending a fair bit of time in, I mean, we're not getting a mortgage to be in here for a year. We're expecting to be in here for the long run. That's why we get a 30-year mortgage out. But saying that, you want to make sure that you're kind of choosing the right house for you, and you need to listen to your gut to be able to do that, and your intuition. So when it comes to houses and the energy you pick up, you might be viewing a house and you might feel something being a bit off. You might feel a little bit disorientated, or just like the energy of the vibe is just a little bit, you can't quite explain it and you can't quite put your finger on it or name it as such, but you just feel something in your gut and in your body and just in your intuition that something is a bit wrong or a bit off. These energies can often come from like previous owners' trauma or previous owners' kind of conflict that's happened in the home. And you might not see this on viewing day, but energy can also be caused by clutter and by hoarders and, you know, things being hoarded in the house. It can be caused by that too, because you have to think, if a house is full of just stuff and things, it feels stuffy and it feels cluttered and it feels like there's not a lot of energy to move around and it feels quite stagnant. You feel that energy if, for example, we viewed quite a lot of rental houses, and I always had quite a feeling of clutter and just, I don't know, just stuff being around everywhere when the house is empty, obviously. Like, I don't know if you've viewed houses that were previously rental properties. Obviously, they're emptied houses, but when you view them, it feels a bit weird and it feels a little bit like, whereas when you view houses that already have all the furniture and stuff in it, it feels a bit more like, because you can see what's there, it just feels a bit less chaotic and a bit more calm and collected. Do you know what I mean? And also location can change the energy of a house too. If it's in a very built up area where there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of noise, you know, it's a flat on a really busy street where there's like 10 nightclubs on it, the energy is going to feel a bit more high and a bit more crazy, and because you'll have people walking up and down the streets late at night, maybe arguing, maybe having a drunken feud, like that energy seeps into the houses nearby. Whereas you take a little cutesy cottage by the seaside, it's very calm and it's very chill, and you're not going to be getting that kind of chaotic energy. So when you are viewing houses, wherever they may be, ask yourself a few of these questions. Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel calm? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel like you can express yourself? Do you feel stagnant? Do you feel a little bit on edge? You have to ask yourself these questions while you're walking around the house, because houses really can either expand your life or limit it, I think personally. And by being able to get that vibe before you've bought the house is just perfect. That's literally why we're here. So when you do go and view your houses, try and pick up on those real subtle pieces of energy when you step through the door. The second you step through the door, even looking at the house when you're walking up to it, ask yourself, how am I feeling when I'm walking up to this house right now? What is my body telling me? Seriously, ask yourself these questions, because your body will not lie to you and it will help you feel how you're supposed to feel. And you will either feel very off and very on edge, or you'll feel very relaxed and calm and collected, like I'm telling you now. The next point is setting intentions before viewing houses. So you actually kind of want to think about viewing houses like going on dates. And I know that's going to sound really weird, but I'm being deadly serious here. You wouldn't show up to a first date without knowing what you're getting yourself into, unless you're going speed dating, which never really goes right, like, let's be honest. So setting energetic intentions even before you view a house is so important, and it will help kind of set the scene and kind of give your brain the cues to be on the aware, like to pick up on signs while you're viewing the house. So a few things that you could potentially do is, before any kind of viewing, is doing like a 5-minute calming meditation, and that's just to ground yourself. You can find 5 minutes of your life to do a meditation. Just look on YouTube. There are so many free meditations out there. And while you're doing your meditation, you can then visualize and do a visualization exercise at the same time. So what you can do is you can close your eyes, you can see the house with the photos that you've seen online, and you can kind of smell it, feel it, and just see what your brain is picking up before you go and view the house. And you can start asking yourself a few questions. How do I feel in this home? What energy do I feel this home is giving me right now? Honestly, do not knock this until you try it, I'm telling you. Next is balancing logic and intuition. Logic says, this is close to my gym, this is close to my work, it's within our budget. Intuition then says, why do I feel so unsettled when I walk through the door? Or why do I feel off in this bedroom? What is that energy? And it's good to ask both sets of questions when you're viewing houses. Logic, yes, you want to know if it's close to your gym. That's great. Does it need repairs? Is it within budget? Like, these are things that you do need to know. And then your intuition comes in and it says, can I imagine waking up here on a Sunday morning, having a coffee in bed and looking out the window? Or do I feel safe and open within this space, within this part of the house, or just in the house in general? Don't be me, and do not fall into the trap of settling and feeling like because you've been viewing houses for X amount of time that this has to be the one because it's been ages. Like, do not do that, because you'll go through a painful experience where you will probably lose the house and you'll feel like it was the one that got away, but then you'll realize that it actually was the one perfectly that got away because you managed to get your dream house. But you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of painful emotional hurt if you just pick up on the subtle signs before you view a house. And what you need to remember in these sort of circumstances, that, you know, estate agents will be trying to sell you the logic. They'll say, yeah, it's so close to your work, how convenient, it's amazing, and, you know, this bathroom was renovated 5 years ago, amazing. But you need to think, like, can I imagine myself chilling in that bath? Or what's the feeling and energy am I getting from the bedroom area? Like, is it a bit of a negative vibe, makes you feel a bit uneasy kind of energy? Your body will naturally pick up on these cues, and when you start tapping into that, it's powerful stuff. It is not even just with house related stuff. I'm just using this as an example because I do this with a lot of different parts of my life. And I will tell you a story about this. Now, this isn't anything to do with house and buying houses and things like that. However, I do generally pick up on people's vibe and people's energy like that really quick. And to the point where I've done this before I've even met someone. So I went out with my friend, locally actually, funny enough, and this was about 5 or so years ago. And she said to me, for my birthday, we're going out for a few drinks. My friend, blah, blah, we'll call her Jane. My friend Jane is coming out and, you know, you've not met her yet. And the second she said her name, I kid you not, I felt like something bad was going to happen, or I just felt really uneasy. I felt the energy that was associated with her was just really low vibe, and I don't know, I couldn't explain why, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I just tried to put it back to in the back of my mind to think, maybe I'm just overthinking things, maybe I'm just being a little bit just not thinking clearly. The night comes and we go out, we have a few drinks, it's lovely, great night. And then Jane comes to meet us a bit later, and her energy instantly was just cold, rude. She was absolutely steaming drunk, but she was just not a nice person at all. And it's so crazy because the first 60 seconds that I met her, I thought, oh my gosh, like my intuition was picking up on that. Weird, so weird. And her boyfriend at the time was going through a lot of difficulties and arguments, and they were having massive rows all night. So she was probably just going through some stuff in her life that overspilled in her other aspects of her life that just made her the way she was at the moment in time. It happens to people. You know, I wasn't going to paint her as a bad person because people go through bad stuff. It just is what it is. And you learn from it in years to come. But I just knew that there was something not right about it, her in general, and her energy and her vibe. And my intuition was right. So if that isn't a sign for you to listen to your intuition when it comes to houses, then I don't know what is. And like I said, you don't need to just put this towards buying houses or just meeting up with a person that you just don't know or going on a first date with someone. It can be anything in life, like the energy that you can feel about holidays. And do you know what? I'll even tell you another story that is crazy. This is a bit more of a sadder story. This was like just after COVID, and me and a few friends were going to Ibiza. And for some reason, I thought, like, my body was telling me something bad is going to happen, and I didn't know what. And I get a bit anxious sometimes, and I was like, surely I'm just probably overthinking and just having a little bit of anxiety and whatever. But my body was kind of like, something bad around the holiday is going to happen, and I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. And we went on holiday, we had a really great time, we flew back, everything was fine, and I was driving home and my sister was like, oh, grab a Mackey's and we'll have some food when we get back. And I was like, yeah, fab, because I was starving. Grabbed the Mackey's, went back to the house, started eating, like had dinner basically. And then after we'd finished, she said to me, our cat died while you was on holiday. And I was like, what? And this is a cat that I've had since I was like 15, and he was my rock. He was everything to me. His name was Sunny. He was the cutest little Burmese cat in the whole wide world, and he passed away while I was on holiday, and he had some like internal issues, that caused him to pass away. And I feel like my intuition knew that something bad was going to happen, but wasn't telling me what, or I just wasn't picking up on what it was. But it was that, and it had to happen right when I got home. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, it was horrible. And it's quite weird that my intuition picked up on that before I even went away. Maybe I'm a bit psychic. I think I'm a bit psychic, I think I've got psychic tendencies, but like I've never really thought of myself as a psychic. But I can pick up on people's energy. This is what I'm coming back to before I ramble on something else. I pick up on people's energy and people's vibe very, very well. And I can usually tell if someone's disingenuous or dishonest or a little bit fake or unauthentic. Like, I can just tell. And I can also tell authenticity very, very well, and I can tell when people are being real with me and people are being honest with me and upfront. And yeah, I think I've learned, and my body's learned, to pick up on cues very, very well. And I know that not everyone is going to be the same, and it's not like I've been training myself to think, feel and act that way. It's just happened. So I think when you start tapping into your intuition and because everyone's got psychic abilities, by the way, like everyone does, when you start building that up a little bit more, you are able to pick up on things like that more easily. Do you know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean. But anyways, enough rambling about me and my crazy intuition stories, which I haven't had for a while, to be fair. So let's move on to specifically reading into the energy of a space. So what you want to be doing here is, like, when you're viewing houses and stuff, if you're feeling like you're walking around and then all of a sudden you get like a weird cold breeze, or like just a coldness in a certain spot or a certain area without kind of any explanation, or the room feels quite heavy or quite like stagnant is another way I can explain it, or your mood kind of changes in a bit of a negative way when you're viewing the house, or even when you leave, you feel really drained. So, when you kind of you hang around with certain people, even if they're people that they're your friends, but you can sometimes feel quite drained when you leave their energy space. That's usually because that person is probably going through something a bit negative and their energy is quite low. So when you hang around with them, generally that kind of takes your energy a little bit low as well. It just automatically happens. And when that happens, you leave that, that encounter with that person feeling quite drained. And that's nothing on that person. That's nothing to do with them. It's nothing to do with you either. But, that is something to be aware of, and that can happen. And it can probably happen with you. If you're having like a really, really, really bad day and you see a friend, you might unconsciously bring their energy down. You might be complaining about what happened in your day. You might be gossiping. You might be like just talking negatively about yourself or other people. And I don't think people realize how much that does bring down other people's energy. So that can happen when you're viewing houses as well. So it's so important to keep an eye on that, especially when you're viewing houses in person and your body's able to feel things like in that moment. Enough of the negatives. Let's look at the green flags and things that you can actually look out for. So things like when you walk into a house and you're viewing a house, If it feels quite light and quite airy and quite, in a way clean, or you can instantly picture your life there in terms of what you do over there, what you change over there, if you want to redo the garden bit there. You walk around and your energy is lifted and you feel like when we viewed this house, I cannot tell you like the feelings that was in my body. I looked at Nathan and I said, this is the one. I was like, this is the one. And he laughed, and the estate agent didn't hear me say it, but I just knew. And I remember looking out the window in the top landing, and I was looking outside and I thought, I just feel like this is our house. I can't explain it. And it obviously was the case. So I feel like you have to look out for that kind of energy. If you're walking around and you're feeling very high vibe, very like buzzing, like we're going to move in here, like that is probably a good telltale sign that it's probably meant for you. So especially if it's like middle of the summer, we were picturing what it'd be like to live in here around Christmas. Now, if you were following my journey on TikTok, you will know that we thought that we was going to be moved into this house before Christmas, and obviously that didn't happen. But everything happens for a reason, and we're supposed to be in it now, which is fine. But this Christmas, you just wait. Vlogmas here is going to be next level. That's all I'm going to say. But if you can start really picturing your life and really thinking like a Christmas tree could go over there or barbecue go in that corner, that's your brain kind of telling you like it's matching you into the energy of the future. So if you can pick up on that while you're viewing houses, then good on you, because you've probably just found your house. Another thing that we found really important as well is the neighborhood. So when you're driving up to the house, kind of get a vibe and a feeling of the neighbors as well, because you're going to be living around these people for a long time. So try and see if you can kind of pick up on their energy as well when you're driving up to the house. I will tell you a very, very funny story. The second viewing that we did with the house, we obviously had the house sell approved and we were going to be the homeowners eventually. And this was like 2 months after that our offer got accepted. And when we viewed the house, one neighbour came out, and then all of a sudden 4 different neighbours came out, and there was like a group of us out on the front garden area just having a chat. They were like, oh, welcome to the neighbourhood, hopefully it goes quickly. It didn't go quickly, but they were so lovely, and it just amplified the fact that this was definitely going to be ours, and it made it even more annoying when we had more delays, because it was like, oh, the neighbours are so nice, like please give us this house, thank you. But yeah, picking up on your neighbours' energy too, I think is very important. So if you're able to have a chat with them before all the stuff gets crazily approved and things, and you actually exchange contracts, I definitely highly would recommend that, because it was so nice to meet them before we'd even moved in. So the next point is journaling to tune into the alignment of your dream beautiful house. What journaling does is it gets you out of thinking and it gets you into feeling of the space. Now, journaling isn't going to be for everyone. And for me, journaling really, really helps me, because it clears my mind, it clears, my mental fog, and it gets my thoughts down onto paper, and it helps me empty everything out and keeps me clear. Like, it helped me so much. If I was struggling with stuff, I would go for a walk and then I would journal. I would just a small little page, and I would just title it with the date and then just write a journal entry of how I was feeling. And the second my pen finished coming off the paper, I felt so light, airy, relieved, like it was so good for me. So what you could do every single time you view a house is have a journal, like even just a clear journal, and use these prompts for every single house that you go and view. So a few questions could be, what emotions did I feel in each room of the house? Was there a shift in energy within the viewing at all? Can I see myself celebrating milestones, doing seasonal things like Christmas, Halloween, redecorating it with things that we would want to do to the house? And do I feel this house would support the version of me that is supposed to live in it? Just a few questions that you could ask yourself, and even just make things up or ask ChatGPT. Our bestie friend, ChatGPT, will always help us out. So ask it a few journal prompts, like, I'm going to view a house and I would like to journal how I was feeling about the house. What journal prompts can you give me to energetically align with this house or understand my feelings towards this house? And then what you could do is you could rate your properties, so every single property that you view, on a scale of 1 to 10. So 0 being absolutely no chance, no way, get out of our life, and 10 being that is our dream house. So on a scale of 0 to 10, rate every single viewing. And I wish we'd done this. I just journaled my thoughts when I was really like in a bit of a bad mood, whereas like I just wish that I journaled in more detail about every single viewing that we went on and rated it. And you'll find as well what you like and what you don't like as you're going to view more houses too. So here's a few signs of knowing that it's probably not the one for you. Number 1, you're making up constant excuses or you're rationalizing on the idea that this is supposed to be your house. For example, take a pause and think if you are saying these excuses to yourself. We don't really like the area that the house is in, but it is available right now at a decent price. Or the garden is so big and so perfect for us, but it's just a little bit too far out of town. Or it feels very, very small for us, but I'm sure we'll just grow into it. You'll need to really try and catch yourself if you are saying these little things, because you're just making up excuses and you're settling, and that is not what you want to do in this process. When you buy a house, it is such a big decision. Like, not only do you go through this whole process of just craziness, which, you know, we all go through when you buy a house in general, but you're going to be the one living in it, right? You need to make sure that this house is somewhere you see yourself, somewhere, you know, if you're thinking about starting a family with your partner, if you have kids in a few years' time, can you have kids' bedrooms? Do you have a spare bedroom? Like, you need to think a little bit ahead when it comes to a house, and it's hard. It's a big decision. It's a huge decision. However, I trust that you will make the right one, and, you know, your intuition will tell you that as well. Another thing you kind of need to remind yourself is the house might be available to you right now, the one that you're viewing, but it doesn't mean that that is the right one for you. The universe is quite funny in the sense of it will put things in your psyche, in your energy, in your reality to make you realize what you do need or do want. So we were viewing quite a few houses that looked really nice online. They were in good areas, you know, they looked really nice, and you'd go there and it might have the one spare bedroom it had, it was tiny, and it's like, we kind of need an office. We also need a bedroom potentially when we have kids one day. So I think you have to just take future things into consideration when you're viewing houses as well. And also think of it as energetic dating. Are you excited to go back for a second viewing for the house? Because if you are, that is probably a very, very good sign. But if you're not, if you say to yourself, don't really want to go back and view that again, that is also a very big sign. So listen to it. Listen to your gut when it is telling you these things. So if your body says no and you're feeling that push with a house, listen to your body, listen to your energy, because it is trying to speak to you. And another little mindset shift, which I wish someone told me when I was going through the process myself, was that there's no shortage of houses. That is a lack mindset, and that will trap you into thinking that you need to settle. So obviously when our house offer got accepted now, and within those 6.5 months, there really wasn't that many houses out for sale. The market just was not good at all. But there was a few here and there that we probably would have been like, yeah, maybe this, maybe that. Again, you need to actually view houses in person to understand their feeling, to understand, you know, if that's even going to be the house for you. So I can't sit here and say that none of those houses would have been for us because we hadn't viewed them. So one of them might have been for us. We don't know because we didn't view it, obviously. So just try to not rush the process and try to just enjoy it. So let's now move on to probably my favorite section of the podcast, is manifesting the one. Now, talk to me all day about manifestation and manifesting, because I'm your girl. If you're the type of person that doesn't think that manifestation is a thing, then it will never happen to you, because your thoughts cause the changes in your reality. If you think that it's really not a thing, then it's not going to be. That's all I'm saying. So when manifesting the right house for you, you need to trust deep down that whatever is meant for you is going to be the one for you. So You might have issues, you might have things that crop up, but if deep down you know that this is your house, like we did with this one, we kind of knew deep down that this was our house. If you know that, then it will be your house. Like, you kind of have to believe in the unknowing in a weird way and just trust that even if it doesn't work out, then it's all for a reason. But you need to get in the right headspace to be able to manifest this house. So a few things you can do if you are wanting to manifest your dream house with a certain amount of bedrooms, certain amount of bathrooms, certain size garage, certain size garden, whatever you would like. You need to visualize it. You need to sit with yourself, close your eyes, imagine the keys in your hand, imagine what the house looks like. You need to imagine the area that you live in, the neighbors that you have, and go into such detail that you can literally picture yourself walking around your house or feeling everything or whatever. You basically need to act as if it has already happened, which sounds really weird and sounds like, why would that work, and how can that work? But you're basically just putting yourself in the shoes of your future self to get your energy and your mind space into that future person of you that already has what you want. So I visualized quite a lot actually about this house in particular, about walking through the door, walking around the empty place and being like, what should we do there and what should we do over there? I really imagined it, and look where we are now. Just saying. So speak it into being. For example, I am so excited to move into our new house at blah, 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 blah address. Imagine completion day, driving up after you just collected your keys from the estate agents and moving your stuff in. Imagine what that feels like. Imagine the first night where you don't have anywhere to sit, where you either have a camp chair or a beanbag and you're watching TV on the floor, or you're watching Netflix on a laptop. Like, really put yourself in those situations and those feelings. And it's actually quite fun to do. And even not just with the house stuff, like try it with other things too. If it's like money you want to attract in your life, start off small. Don't imagine £1 million and expect you're going to have the £1 million. You need to start off small and build yourself up, because if you're jumping too quickly with your manifestations when, you want a 10-bedroom house with 12 bathrooms and a helipad over there and a pool over there, but you're still living with your parents, that probably is not going to happen. No matter how many times that you sit there and just try to visualize it, you need to put action into place. If you can't afford a house like that, you're not going to be able to get a house like that. Do you know what I mean? So you need to align your energy with your actions to then get your future reality. Does that kind of make sense, or am I just waffling here? Because I feel like I'm probably waffling. I hope that makes sense. I hope it does. But basically, you just want to think that energy attracts energy. So you need to keep your vibe high. Like I said earlier, when people are low vibe, low energy, if you feel like you're in lack or fear or anxious, those are low vibrational frequencies. You want to raise your vibration, and that way to do that is listening to your favorite music, do things that make you happy, spending time with people that make you happy, or doing hobbies that make you happy. Like, just things that elevate your emotions are things that are going to raise your vibration and raise your frequency. And the way to bring in your manifestations quicker is to raise your vibe. So listen to high vibe music, listen to affirmations and things like that. Gratitude is also a huge part as well. If you do any gratitude practices now, then this is amazing. But even just like 3 things that you're grateful for every single morning. Everyone can do that. I'm sorry, everyone can do that. But I usually do 3 things I'm grateful for every morning, and then 1 thing I'm grateful for the whole day that happened that day just before I go to sleep. And that just puts me in such a lovely frequency and vibe for the rest of my day or that evening going into the next day. So a few wrap-up points from this a little bit longer podcast today. I feel like I've been chatting. Number 1 is trust your gut. Feel your vibes, because energy does not lie. Your dream home should make you feel excited, happy, joyful, peaceful, calm, high vibe energies and frequencies. It should not be making you feel low, making you feel anxious, making you feel anything. You have to really feel your body and feel your gut while you're viewing a house, and even before as well. Do the practical things like journaling, visualizing, meditating, affirmations, gratitude, like just doing all those things will keep your energy high, help you attract the perfect house for you. If you liked this style of podcast, because I feel like it's a bit different to my other ones, please do let me know, because I need to know that I'm actually helping someone in their first time buyer experience, or just buying a house in general. These are just a few things that I found that helped me and helped us. So yeah, I hope that something does help you too. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I've had so much fun. I will probably talk more in terms of like spiritual things because that is my vibe and my energy and my frequency. I just love it. I could talk about this stuff all day. So yeah, stay grounded, stay high vibe, manifest your dream house, and I hope to see you next time on the Home Stretch podcast.